Hey you guys, what's up? It is Blind Eye, and I am here to give you all my thoughts and just yap away about Twisted Metal Season 2, Episode 3. So without further ado, let's just get on into this. Now, if you haven't seen the other two videos of me yapping about the first two episodes of Season 2, there's no structure. I'm just yapping. If I forget something, I forget something. If I remember it out of order, then it is what it is. This isn't going to be the only set of videos I make. I'm going to be talking about Twisted Metal for forever. Live streams, all that good stuff. So, let's begin. Episode 3, we get Mr. Grimm. It starts out Mr. Grimm. We got a graveyard, and there's these two grave robbers there. They're doing their thing, and they're digging this grave, and they're like, wait, how come there's no casket in this one? And then all of a sudden, Mr. Grimm shows up. Oh my God, he takes them out in the most brutal way. He takes his helmet and just bashes in their heads, and it's like the white skull that was on his helmet is now just full on red because of the blood, and it's insane. And then we are introduced to supernatural elements with Mr. Grimm as he takes this dude's soul, and it goes all around his body and like all around his arm, and then it goes, he takes it, whatever, and then he starts talking like the person that he just took the soul. So I was like, yes, see, this is awesome. They've never done this with Mr. Grimm. It's such a cool idea. And then that's where the episode ends. Well, he goes, no. He goes in the grave, the empty grave. There was no casket, but there was a motorcycle in there. The motorcycle was in the ground. He goes in the grave and he shoots out from the grave somehow and just goes. And on the gravestone, I was looking for it. I'm like, please tell me, because he says something about like, oh, hey dad, or hey pops, or something like that. And then I was like, oh dude, please tell me that gravestone is going to say Captain Grimm on it. And sure as shit it does. And I was like, I called it, baby, let's go. So that was cool. And then, we got more catching up on the characters, more getting to know the new characters and everything. I'm talking about my favorite parts that stuck out to me. So here we go. We are with the dolls again, and then John and Quiet are doing their thing. They're riding. And Quiet's like, you need to catch up with your sister. You need to spend some time with her. It's been, 20 years, however long it's been. You need to, you guys need to catch up and talk. And so this was a funny joke where he gets kicked. She kicks him out of the car. And then she pulls up, Dollface pulls up behind him in this dope car. And there's like little doom buggy looking, not doom buggy, but the little, not PT Cruiser, but like the little bug, whatever them cars are called. I forget. But she pulls up and kicks out the other Dollface member whose name was Ashley, which was funny. She was like, get out. And so John gets in there. She gets kicked out. I'm like, well, they're just going to kick her to the curb? No. There's a third car that comes up, and it's the one dude that's been hanging out with them. And then she's like, all right, I got to get in the car with you. Fine. Eventually, they end up making bread, as they put it. If you understand what I mean. At night, when there's no one else around, the cars are rocking, and someone came a-knocking. Mr. Grimm, I'm jumping way far too ahead in the episode, I don't care. Mr. Grimm shows up and takes both of them out. Takes them both out, right? We'll get to what happens after that later. And so while John is hanging out with his sister, she's like, I need to go take you somewhere. Let's see if we can jog your memory. And she takes him to the drive-in theater. Now, this was cool because in season 1, you had the normal movie theater with John and Quiet hanging out. And now in this one, it's a drive-in theater, but it's with him and his sister. And I didn't look this up. I should have. I believe, it's got to be the same name of the drive-in from Twisted Metal Black. I didn't look it up. I should have, but I didn't. I think that's where that's the only Twisted Metal with a drive-in theater, and I'm assuming that's the one. I just don't know the name of it, so I'm assuming that's the one. But so they're doing their thing, right? They're talking, and they're smoking the good stuff at the same time. And so, they're just talking. And, John's like, he's like talking about his past. And he's like, I carried all this weight. I don't want to know in his name. Forget it. I'm just going to say his name is Lionel. So he's like, I don't want to be Lionel. I'm John Doe. I'm John. I don't want all the weight of knowing all this stuff. I'm me. That's who I am. And so like he's like kind of getting loud about it and talking and yelling a little bit. And so then they are just pummeled with bullets, right? The car that they're in is just getting shot at by all these bullets. And it's like, okay, we were told that a certain character was going to get introduced in a big way, and here we go. I couldn't think of a better way to do it. And so they're running, right? They're running away. They're trying to figure out what's going on, and then they get shockwave. Like a shockwave comes, they get blasted back. I'm like, and sure enough, you hear like this low like rumble of this like motor and like mechanical just noises, and then this big explosion happens. These cars blow up. And then through the fire and the flames emerges none other than the man himself, Axel. And it is so cool to see this character in live action. Axel is awesome. He's not my top favorite character, but he's in top 5 easy. He's awesome. I mean, his vehicle concept is ridiculous, but it's so freaking cool. Come on now. How can you not think that Axel isn't cool? Axel's the shit. Do I need to go through my top ranked characters? We'll do that later. Axel's the shit. He's easily top 5 easy. All right. So we get a little bit of his backstory tease, and I think there's definitely going to be more to him. There's definitely going to be more to him for sure. And, yeah, they go inside the concession stand after running away from him. And, John Doe tries to shoot him with a little pistol, and then he, like, moves his wheel in the way, so it bounces back. The bullet ricochets, hits Krista in the face, right on the cheek. Like right here, we're at like right here. And so now she's freaking out. She's like, oh man, I gotta have this hideous scar. Oh man, I'm not gonna be like pretty. And so I was like, okay, I see what you're doing there with that. That's pretty sweet. Nice little callback there. There's so many references, and I probably missed some, I'm sure, because I was just too amped up about it. That's why I need to rewatch all these again. So yeah. I love how they're doing that. And so they make their way inside the concession stand, and this was cool because they're kind of like doing multiple things. Like I still feel like they gotta give Axel the storyline with his father, right? They have to do that. They have to. But right now, for now, whether we get that side of with Axel, like with that part of his story or not, I don't know. I'm pretty sure we're getting that because that would be cool. And John does also mention, like, I should have rewound and listened to it again, like, because he mentioned something about like, oh, he could like pull his arms out or something like that. It's like a reference to his ending in Twisted Metal too. But they go inside the concession stand, and they're doing the scientist route from Head On, which is crazy, but it's like a different twist on it, right? And the scientist is like, oh, I'm gonna make people the car. Like why won't, like, oh my god, it's just so cool. And there's like a little bit of a joke there, which is pretty funny. He's like, wait, why are you doing this to just like, are you doing this to just black people? He's like, no, I'm not racist. It's like a whole, like, science is it's all colors or whatever he says. And it's like, yo, this is crazy. And then he has Krista by knife point, like he has her hostage, and that's where that joke comes in, which is pretty funny. And then they eventually, like, John just throws him out the window and he lands on like a pipe or something, and he dies and he gets impaled. And then Axel is like, he comes out with his wheels on again, and John's like, yo man, like, what's going on? She's trying to talk to him, and then Axel's like, he couldn't hear what he was saying because of the machine, because his wheels, like, his machine is so loud. And then Krista's like, no, you're good. You're free. You can go. We took care of this asshole. And so he's like, all right. And so then he leaves. I was like, okay, let's see what's going to go down now. How is he going to get involved in the tournament? This is going to be crazy. And so then we go back to the beginning of where Mr. Grimm was at. But before we get to that, Quiet is now chilling with Mayhem. Mayhem snuck in the trunk because there was like a whole big thing with like these two cavemen, freaking crazy people, which that would be a cool faction in a game. That would be wild. I would love to see what that faction would be like. And they're like all talking like cavemen and shit. And they're like, man, you guys are really doing the bit, aren't you? It was so funny. It was ridiculous. And then like they chopped one of them head off, like one of the dude's heads off. I was like, damn, this is getting brutal. It's awesome. And I forgot to mention in episode 1, Sweet Tooth makes a joke about like how eyes are like the bear, like grapes, apple for the throat, and then banana for, you know. So I thought that was a funny joke. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, Mayhem snuck in the trunk of Roadkill while Quiet's running around. And yeah, so now they're palling around, and Mayhem doesn't know how to drive, and she's over here like, oh, I'm going to be the best one. I'm going to win this contest and all this stuff. But I wonder if there's some foreshadowing, because she did say something about like, oh, what if like my mangled body was like, there was definitely foreshadowing there for sure. I wonder if that was some foreshadowing. It seemed like it was. And yeah, I gotta hurry up. This video is getting too long. But there's a lot to talk about with this episode. And so, you know, they're doing like Quiet's like training her up on how to drive and all this stuff. And, you know, she's doing okay. And then, yeah. And then Mr. Grimm shows up after he kills Ashley and the one guy. This was cool because he starts to do the soul thing again, and then the camera cuts to Quiet and Mayhem's point of view, and Grimm is just standing there with his arm outstretched going like, you know, like, so he's bullshit. He's bullshitting. It's all in his head. He's not really doing the soul shit. He's just batshit crazy out of his mind. And it fits. It makes sense. That is so cool that they're doing that. So now that just makes me question. And that's going to be a thing I bet they're going to mess with us throughout this whole season if Calypso's bullshitting or not. Because is Calypso just rich boy with a shit ton of money that can just make stuff happen? Or does he really have the supernatural powers? That's going to be the question. And that I cannot wait. I cannot wait for more. Man, part of me wishes all this was out so I could just binge it and just talk about the whole thing. But man, I really like week to week. It gives me something to look forward to, gives me something to talk about, and I just love it so much. But anyway, so we get back to that scene. And Mr. Grimm and Axel, they start duking it out. They're fighting a little bit, so it's pretty cool to see a little bit of a little scrap, a little bit of a skirmish there. And then obviously Quiet and Mayhem, they're like, yeah, we're getting the hell out of here. So, and they just book it. They meet up with John and Krista, and they were like, oh man, we just came across this guy on a motorcycle, and another guy showed up with these two big wheels, and they're like, Axel? They're like, oh yeah, you know who that is? And it's like, oh yeah, that's a whole big thing. And yeah, that's I think that's where pretty much the episode ended at. Because they make it to Diesel City. That's where they're going. They're making their way to Diesel City because they got a bunch of stuff to go. They got all like the medical supplies and all the stuff they need over there. And Diesel City is going to be crazy to see Diesel City, man. That's going to be awesome. If you didn't know, Diesel City is from Twisted Metal 2012. And I cannot wait. And then you get a mid-credit scene, which is basically coming up on this season of Twisted Metal. You know, it's one of those. And I'm going to make another video talking about that because there's a lot to break down and talk about in that trailer. So there we go. I think I've said everything I wanted to say about all 3 episodes of Twisted Metal Season 2 so far. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Please, if you haven't watched the episodes, what are you doing here? Go watch them for yourself because I probably butchered the shit out of it. But hey, this is my style, baby. This is how I do it. And I love it. I love Twisted Metal so much. And yeah, that's it. I am so excited for next week and the upcoming weeks about all these episodes. We're getting 12 episodes. It's going to be amazing. Stay tuned to the channel. There's going to be a lot of Twisted Metal stuff coming with all these episodes coming out. I want to talk about the mid-credit scene, that new trailer. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. And I will see you all for whatever comes next.